I'm fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone, it's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
Yeah, it's like this, like.
We had a black billionaire's lunch.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
And we here together, and we gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
I've been ready for this Jay-Z documentary for a long time. The second that legal notice went out, I understood it instantly. That wasn't confidence, that was panic. And once I saw that reaction, I felt like it was time for the curtain to be pulled back so people could see who Jay-Z really is. In my opinion, he and Diddy come from the same mold. The only real difference is presentation. Jay-Z masks his dominance and ego behind a polished, respectable image. This tension didn't start overnight. It's been building for almost 2 decades. I've watched how he operates quietly, moving pieces without ever stepping into the spotlight. At times, I've even wondered if certain symbolic acts, like that so-called funeral bouquet, were truly Diddy's idea, or if Jay-Z was pulling the strings behind the scenes. When Nicki Minaj posted that viral clip of Jay-Z in a pink wig, I simply reshared it. That's it. And suddenly, his legal team was reaching out. That response spoke volumes. Around that same period, Nicki was reportedly grinding nonstop, helping elevate his platform, yet rumors have followed him for years about unpaid royalties. Numbers as high as $7.9 million have been mentioned, and those questions were never publicly settled. Time and time again, his name surfaces around major industry moments. The elevator incident, exclusive guest lists at Diddy's parties, power shifts within the music business. And somehow, without fail, he always walks away clean. That's what people say he does better than anyone else. Influence everything from the shadows while keeping his hands spotless.
Sean Carter is just as bad as the diddler. And I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it. You want to know what a box cutter feels like going into your skin and ripping you? I can tell you how it feels. Y'all ain't seen shit yet. That Cassie shit, that's nothing. I'm saying Sean Carter remembers everything he did to me and he's got it on tape. Just like Diddy. And you're gonna be crazy. It's gonna be the women that give him in the end.
Get me out of here. That image has spent years projecting, flawless, untouchable, is starting to crack. And now that part of the darkness is finally being brought into the open, there's no turning back. This isn't about throwing shots or starting drama. What my team and I are doing is about making sure the truth doesn't get buried again. Silence only has power when fear controls people. And that chapter is closing. What's really being exposed is a much larger issue, the way power, reputation, and so-called black excellence are used as shields. Billionaires stand shoulder to shoulder, protecting one another, acting like nothing is wrong, while people inside the system, both men and women, remain stuck and voiceless. That reality often gets ignored. 50 Cent has been clear about one thing. He was never part of Diddy's inner circle. He has said there were situations early on that didn't sit right with him, invitations that raised red flags, and that's why he chose to keep his distance. According to 50, that separation is exactly what allows him to speak freely today. When the allegations against Diddy surfaced, he says he found out the same way the public did, through the headlines, and yet he admits none of it shocked him. Jaguar Wright has taken things even further. She has openly claimed that Jay-Z is more dangerous than Diddy, accusing him of actions toward women that she says rival or surpass what's already been exposed. She has stated that she carries physical scars and has alleged that Jay-Z personally assaulted her.
Will Diddy start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, I know that. You and Jay-Z. Down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. That might help a lot. Kathy Coriana White, Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby, while he was married to Beyonce. Was it an aneurysm, Diddy? Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you... Oh, Diddy, you should talk.
Some observers believe he has deliberately put distance between himself and Diddy, quietly stepping back to avoid being pulled into the fallout. At the same time, long-standing accusations have continued to circulate linking Jay-Z to the death of Kathy White, claims he has denied and for which he has never been charged. Still, as scrutiny around Diddy intensified, attention naturally began drifting toward Jay-Z as well, especially because he chose not to speak publicly. For many people, that silence raised eyebrows and sparked even more speculation. There's a growing belief that Jay-Z's inner circle has been aware for years that his name surfaces in civil conversations and behind-the-scenes industry talk. According to this view, remaining silent isn't accidental, it's strategic. The idea is to wait it out, let the noise fade, and avoid amplifying attention by responding. To wrap this up, here's a clip of Jaguar Wright explaining why she believes what she does.
How close was Diddy and Jay-Z? They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball, they wasn't playing baseball, they wasn't playing football, and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it. But I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, athletes. I gotta go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pocket's 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was gonna knock out.
Some people believe he has intentionally kept his distance from Diddy, quietly separating himself to avoid being caught in the aftermath. At the same time, unresolved accusations have continued to resurface connecting Jay-Z to the death of Kathy White, allegations he has publicly denied and has never been criminally charged over. As pressure mounted around Diddy, public focus slowly began shifting toward Jay-Z as well, largely because of his refusal to address the situation. For many observers, that silence didn't calm the conversation, it intensified it. There's also a widespread view that Jay-Z's inner circle has long known his name appears in civil discussions and private industry chatter. From that perspective, staying quiet isn't a coincidence but a deliberate strategy, letting time dull controversy instead of drawing more attention by responding. To close this out, here's a clip of Jaguar Wright explaining why she holds her position.
That's how these guys are, man. They'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they've done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you gotta understand, you know, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating in his early 30s? You're not gonna go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you gotta understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old. You know, if they 17, 18, 16 years old and they 22, you thinking they 22, 23, something like that, 24 years old? They mama and them need to check them, they daddy and them need to check them. But that's not that far off. But for somebody to be 30 years old in their 30s and they dealing with kids 16 years old, 17, 18 years, man, that's a problem, that's an issue. And now he see that because he's raising kids. And he got a young daughter. I think he got another daughter that he didn't claim and now he claiming them. These cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you could talk about this shit and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't street cats. They entertainers.
According to the filings, Jane Doe alleges that two people recently approached her outside her residence, identifying themselves as investigators connected to one of Jay-Z's lawyers. She claims they attempted to coerce her into signing a sworn statement saying her allegations were false. She refused. She also says they questioned her about whether her attorney, Tony Busby, had contacted her first and offered money to pursue fabricated claims, something she firmly denies. What unsettled her most, she says, was how they managed to locate her at all. Her identity had remained protected, never revealed publicly in the press or in court records. She later alleged that her parents were also contacted by investigators and asked similar questions. That, according to her, was the final straw. She claimed she ultimately withdrew the lawsuit out of fear of being exposed, targeted, harassed, or worse. Industry sources say that even a single criminal investigation could dramatically shift the landscape, not only for Diddy, but for anyone closely linked to him. That's why many believe 50 Cent's documentary carries weight. It's not centered on just one individual. It's about how influence operates behind closed doors, who was aware of what, and who could be next to face public scrutiny. There's also increasing speculation about how Diddy managed to stay insulated for so long, with some believing he surrounded himself with powerful allies and layers of protection.
It's just odd to see him in that, getting looked at in that way by white people. Like Jay does, yeah, like I hope that shit didn't happen, but I'm like, damn, they turned the world real. Like people on a certain level have been fucking with him a certain way where he couldn't do no wrong for like 25 years straight. This is the first time he's not getting a pass with white media. Like he can control black media because a lot of them either work or do business with him. But like, Drink Champs can't get him out of this one, and neither can Charlemagne, because those are the guys that hold him down no matter what he does anyway. So he got to get to People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight right now, because they on his head. But the question is why? Like why now? Because for me, I'd be like, yo, that's so ridiculous. Yo, take that to trial. You're not gonna win. Let's get a deposition or something. So I don't know why they on his head so much. Pause. But I never seen him, under this. I never seen him in this position to have to explain himself. Pause.
How you feel about the statement he came out with?
I mean, I didn't hear him say anything. I heard a piece of, like I said, I'm doing an interview, so I talk. I thought it was long. For a statement, I thought it was long, pause. But, I think right now, his silence is the worst thing for him if he is innocent. He needs to let people ask him questions, and he needs to be able to say his side of the story, as opposed to letting that lawyer talk.
Information tightly managed. Some believe that as the pressure intensified, Diddy may have started working with authorities in an effort to reduce his own exposure. That's where the most volatile rumor comes into play. The idea that Diddy could be cooperating and that Jay-Z's name might surface as part of that cooperation. According to certain commentators, if Diddy is in fact talking, the key issue wouldn't be speculation or headlines, but what he knows about Kathy Corey White. White, who was rumored to have been romantically linked to Jay-Z, died in 2001. The circumstances surrounding her death have continued to raise questions ever since.
I don't think I would have said that he didn't know Puff at all or wasn't his friend. I thought that was a little extreme. I thought that was the wrong choice of words. I think that's going to trigger a lot of backlash. But the thing is, I never seen him get backlash at all. So that's what I'm saying. Now he getting backlash. Like, when did you know Jay-Z to be on his heels other than when he got beat up in the elevator? But that was nothing. But I've never seen him under the fire ever. Not in a long time. Not like, I've never seen people on his head like that, Paul. Ever.
Yeah, this might be my first time seeing people come at him like this.
Like I said, I didn't hear him say anything. Like, I'm not some white man speaking for another black man doesn't add up. It just doesn't work like that. Like, he doesn't know what to say on Jay's behalf. Jay would have to say that. So if he instructed him to say that, like, you don't even know if Jay told him to say that. He could have got off the stage and they was like, why'd you say that? He was like, I had to. Like, he probably said it because homeboy wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Like, I didn't hear him say anything. I haven't heard Jay say a word yet. Have you?
Nah, I haven't heard him say anything.
There it is. So y'all going by a piece of paper with words, don't get caught up in that. I have not heard him say one thing yet. Until I see him speak, he hasn't spoke to me. That's why I said I don't think he did not say that. His lawyer said it. So what else is a lawyer gonna say? You know what I'm saying?
Officially, her death was ruled an aneurysm. Yet speculation has persisted for decades, only growing since the documentary surfaced. One thing is certain. This isn't just about revisiting old events. It's about what comes next. Every new revelation shines a light on those who remain quiet, with Jay-Z at the center of much of that scrutiny. The focus sharpened further when Gan Deal responded to claims from Jay-Z's lawyer that Jay and Diddy were never particularly close. From Gene's perspective, That made little sense. He remembered moments on stage where Diddy openly displayed familiarity with Jay-Z, even remarking that only Jay-Z could call him Sean. To Gene, that was far from casual. It cast a signal, he felt, of influence and connection that went beyond what the public sees.
There was this one part where 50 was talking, and he was saying, yeah, when Yayo was locked up, every G-Unit show, we actually put aside the money.
Bro, I told
for him, and he had like a, he's like, Yayo had like $1 million.
Right. I just told you when I came out of my building, I see the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
There was no way I was getting shot there. And this is what I kind of tell you is like, when we was talking about stacks with the Porsche, 50's not gonna let you say, get the Porsche. He gonna say, let's get him out the hood first. You know, if the money's there, but the money has to be there for you to live like that. The money's there, 50 didn't have to do that. Rest in peace to Hervé from Interscope, because he always said to me, man, 50 do more for you than any artist, than anybody does for their artists, more than Jay-Z. Young Guns was right there.
While her death was officially ruled an aneurysm, questions and speculation have lingered for decades, a conversation reignited by the recent documentary. What's clear is that this isn't merely a look back, it's about what unfolds next. Each new piece of information casts a spotlight on those who stayed silent, with Jay-Z drawing the most attention. The scrutiny grew even sharper when Gan Deal responded to claims from Jay-Z's attorney that he and Diddy were never particularly close. To Gene, that didn't add up. He recalled instances on stage where Diddy openly showed a deep familiarity with Jay-Z, even noting that only Jay-Z had the right to call him Sean. To Gene, those moments weren't casual gestures. They were signals of influence, a connection that ran far deeper than the public had ever seen.
He says to people, he goes into boardrooms and says to people, which I will never say, is he says, it's important for me to be a billionaire, you know, because Black people need to be billionaires. And why does specifically he, at that time, I've had this conversation with white money people when they go, you know, it's important that Jay-Z becomes a billionaire. And I go, why? And they said, because he wants to open up a casino. You know, he wants to open up this, he should have an alcoholic brand. He needs to have a casino. He needs to have this. And you're like, why the fuck does anybody need a casino? Like another fucking casino
money
in this world.
And it makes it very possible for people to launder money all day.
Yeah. So like, why, even the fact that you want to become so powerful, then you're not saying because he needs to build schools for Black people in Black neighborhoods. It's because he wanted to build casinos for Black people.
For them to keep wasting their money and then for him to keep giving them overpriced merchandise. It's a rat trap.
Yeah.
All of it is. The sad part is that hip hop has now turned itself over to this greed machine and doesn't realize it's time to unplug.
Within the industry, few really knew the true ages of Jay-Z or others. They looked young, clean-shaven, low haircuts, no visible signs of aging. So when a man was seen with a younger woman, the assumption might be that he was in his early 20s, not nearing 30. But Gene points out that once the reality is revealed, that assumption changes everything. If a man in his 30s is involved with girls who are 16, 17, or 18, it's no longer a simple misunderstanding. It becomes a serious issue. Gene notes at the time, people didn't question it, but looking back, especially now that Jay-Z is raising daughters of his own, the optics are very different.
I believe Puff felt they was close.
Oh.
But if you was a person on the outside looking in, like me and Uncle Paulie used to always talk about it, me and D-Rock used to talk about, yo, why Puff kind of like sucking Jay off so much? You know what I'm saying? Because you'd be like, we done flew to 5 or 6, 7 different concerts that Jay-Z has. But Jay-Z is not at one of Puff's shows. You know what I'm saying? You look at the Rock brunch where Puff will break his neck to get to the brunch. But Jay-Z don't pop up at any of Puff parties. You know, now I can only speak up until 2012. You know what I'm saying? And Puff was breaking his neck. Like, at the end of the day, in our mind, we say, yo, he ain't even invite Puff to his wedding. When he married Beyonce, Steve Stout and all of them was there. You know what I'm saying? And Puff was kind of in his feelings, but once again.
Oh, Puff was upset he didn't get invited to the wedding?
Of course he was. Oh. You know what I'm saying? But You got to remember, we're security, so we're bottom on a tote pole. So he's not going to show you that it really affects him until you have a little conversation with him, or you say something, or you overhear something. But he didn't get invited to that, you know. Yeah, Jay came through every once in a while, like if we was in a yacht in San Tropez or one of these places like that, Jay might ride up, you know what I'm saying? And it's more or less to show, yeah, I got a yacht too.
Look very different. Gene points out that much of the behavior in the industry went unchallenged simply because no one spoke up. Now, with platforms where people can openly share what they saw, heard, or experienced, some powerful figures perceive that transparency as a threat. But Gene stresses one thing: these aren't street-level players, they're entertainers, and for them, image is everything. Dame Dash, Jay-Z's former close friend and business partner, recently shared his perspective as well. What struck him wasn't merely the allegations themselves, but the reaction to them. Dame says he has never seen Jay-Z endure this level of public scrutiny before, particularly not from mainstream media outside the industry. For decades, Dame says, Jay-Z appeared untouchable, always able to glide past scrutiny. But this situation feels different. Dame notes that while Jay-Z may have significant sway over certain black media outlets through business connections, that influence doesn't carry over to publications like People or Entertainment Tonight. And now, those outlets are watching closely. Dame questions the approach. If Jay-Z is truly innocent, why not speak for himself instead of letting lawyers handle every response? From Dame's perspective, the silence is backfiring. He believes Jay-Z should directly address the questions, rather than letting statements come solely through legal channels. He also criticized the claim that Jay-Z and Diddy were never close, calling the distancing extreme and unnecessary, and likely to provoke backlash. To Dame, denying a well-known friendship doesn't protect anyone. It comes across as defensive. What struck him most, he says, is that this is the first time he can recall Jay-Z appearing genuinely on the defensive outside of isolated incidents.
Why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with.
The infamous elevator incident aside, Jay-Z has rarely faced a need to publicly explain himself like this. Dame Dash emphasizes it has never seen anyone challenge Jay-Z this openly, this persistently, or this aggressively. He makes an important distinction. Jay-Z himself hasn't spoken. Everything being circulated comes through legal filings and lawyers. Dame warns against equating legal statements with personal truth. Until Jay-Z addresses things directly, people are left reacting to silence, and silence, he says, creates room for speculation. That, according to Dame, is the real game changer. For the first time in his career, Jay-Z isn't controlling the narrative, and that alone signals a shift. Historically, Jay-Z has rarely had to answer publicly. But now, the pressure is constant, not fleeting. That raises a bigger question. Why is 50 Cent so focused on exposing Jay-Z? According to Tony Yayo, the tension between the two goes back years, rooted in competition, loyalty, and how each operates within hip-hop. Hip-hop has always been competitive. Egos clash, rivalries form, but there are moments when people evolve. Yayo points to a recent show where 50 performed with Drive Dre, and Cameron unexpectedly joined him on stage. Years prior, there had been real conflict, but that moment showed growth. Cameron has also said that Jay-Z prioritizes business over hip-hop culture, and Yayo understands why some feel that way. He explains that Jay-Z appears at high-profile corporate events but isn't always present for the hip-hop moments that matter most to artists. By contrast, Yayo highlights 50 Cent's approach. When Yayo was incarcerated, 50 set aside money from every G-Unit show to ensure Yayo would come home financially secure, a sum totaling nearly $1 million. To Yayo, that says everything about leadership. 50's philosophy, he explains, is, we focus on getting you out the hood first, the lifestyle comes later. He didn't have to do it. He chose to. Even record executives have acknowledged that 50 Cent has done more for his artists than many major industry figures ever have. It's a hands-on, protective style of leadership that continues to define how he moves in hip-hop. Allegedly, Jay-Z didn't want 50 Cent performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. According to what Yayo heard, Eminem stepped in and made it clear he wouldn't take the stage unless 50 was included. To Yayo, that move felt deeply personal. Cameron shared a similar perspective, noting that while Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony, he often skipped major hip-hop events connected to 50 Cent. Yayo admits Jay-Z operates on a different level. But visibility matters. Fans notice who shows up and who doesn't. The competition between Jay-Z and 50 has always been present, Yayo explains. From early lyrical digs like, I'm about $1, what the F, is 50 Cent, to later collaborations, the rivalry never fully disappeared. Even when they worked together, an undercurrent of tension remained. Despite the criticisms, Yayo stresses that G-Unit's impact is undeniable. Alongside Eminem and Dr. Dre, 50 Cent helped create one of the most dominant eras in music history. In terms of sales, influence, and cultural reach, few acts can compare. Executives would often tell Yayo that it was important for Jay-Z to become a billionaire, not just as a business milestone, but as a symbolic achievement. According to Yayo, 50 sees power differently. For him, true influence isn't just wealth, it's lifting others along the way. That philosophical difference, Yayo suggests, explains why tension between the two has persisted, and why 50 Cent is willing to speak now while others remain silent. When asked why, the response was revealing. Because he wants a casino. He wants an alcohol brand. He wants this, he wants that. Yayo responded, why does anyone need another casino? They're already cash machines, perfect for laundering money. But notice what's missing from that conversation. Building schools, investing in black communities, creating generational wealth. Instead, it's about casinos where black people lose money and overpriced merchandise is pushed on top of it. Yayo calls it a trap, a greed machine cleverly disguised as success.